I found the one. I found the one. You gotta meet her. She's not here. Do you ever meet someone excited when they found the one? There's just so much hope in a person when they find the one they've been looking for. Maybe you've encountered someone and they're just, tell me about them. Tell me about the one. They know everything about me. They always have the right words to say. Whenever I'm sad, they literally know what I need to cope, whether it's music or it's art. They know everything about me. If you're listening, you're like, it's incredible. Do you have a picture? Yeah. It's right here. ChatGPT. It's an AI boyfriend. And I plug in like what I need and things I'm worrying with, and it spits out everything. We live in a time where people will find the one. There's AI. Or if you've heard someone say, I found the one, and you're a parent, like, well, tell me about him. Like, how does he make you feel? He makes me feel afraid. I'm afraid of him. I don't know if that's the one. Relationships give us insights into why Christianity was so contagious and why following Jesus as the way, why so many knew and believed he was the one. Peter believed, I found the one. Now in the beginning, if you're familiar with Peter, he got sideways. He thought he found the one. And then Jesus gets captured. He's taken in. And then Peter's afraid. He denies that he ever knew Jesus. And then Jesus gets crucified. And he's in hiding. And he's thinking, maybe it wasn't the one. And then what happens? Jesus comes back. He's like, I'll be the one, and I'll be, because the Backstreet Boys are now back. And it's like, yes, if you grew up with them, it's like all those love songs are back. And so all of a sudden, Jesus comes back. And Peter's like, he was the one. And Peter spends his life telling everyone about Jesus because he was the one we've always been looking for. And in the letter 1 Peter that we've been reading, it's near the end of his life. And he's writing a letter to people who are being persecuted, people who are going through hard times. And he wants to remind them, to give them hope. And his starting point is to remind them about how they too have found the one. And it says in 1 Peter, verse 3, Peter says, praise be to God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope. And through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. You know how you know you found the one? When the person is alive and invested in your life. I know it sounds silly, but this is part of the future, is that people are now looking to find relationships in AI. And we all know that there'll be something missing. People will continue to be lonely because we were meant to have an interaction and a life with someone who's actually alive, with someone who's actually interested in our life. The beauty of relationships is that the person is actually interested in you. And so AI will fall short. And for Jesus, he says, the living God, This was so important because Jesus, when he died, if he stayed dead, that's it. He's just like every other prophet. He died. But the difference with Jesus, the reason why he was the one was he rose from the dead. In fact, it wasn't Jesus' teachings that sent his followers to the streets. Because all of his early followers were afraid. They just saw Jesus get murdered. And now they're having to contemplate, I could be next. No, thank you. I got a family. I got a fiance. I got a lot of sheep. But no Joseph. For our little pageant we're supposed to do for Christmas. I got things to worry about. It's over. Go home. What sent his followers to the street was his resurrection. That's why they believed his teachings. They said, he's real. Jesus is living. He's alive. And so when you're looking for the one, you know you got to do a little research. I mean, if someone comes home and says, I found the one. Like, well, tell me about him. Their hair. Oh, his hair. He's got like this full head of hair. He's the one. And you're thinking, yeah, but in 5 years, some of that hair might not be there. 10 years, the whole head might be gone. 15 years, hair's coming out of other places. You're going to have to do a little bit more research. Yeah, but his toenails, he's got great feet. 50 years later, it's like that toenail can cut through provolone cheese. I mean, it's got claw. We have to do our research. And so when I was a teenager, I heard about Jesus, but in college, I started to hear about other religions, other founders, other people who claim to be prophets. And so we have to be intellectually honest, say that there's other ones we gotta find out about. And so I encourage you to take part in researching and doing your homework at some point. Where we live in Buffalo, New York, you're going to have heard probably about Joseph Smith and the Mormon Church. Because it actually started an hour and a half away from where we are. That's where it started, where the Erie Canal was. If you're online, you're going to start to hear more about Islam and Muhammad. And that's going to become something that we say, what's that about? Or maybe you've heard about Buddha. I mean, there's so many people that we have to do our homework. You know, love isn't just blind. You say, well, what is the difference between these founders and these people? And so I began that journey in high school. This journey was also not new for us or new for anybody. In fact, if you read the Old Testament, same thing. You had God, Jehovah, who was alive, right? The Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, they existed since the beginning. They were alive. But even in those times, there were people who said they had their own gods. When you get the challenge in January, where we're going to read through the Bible in a month again, or listen to it, when you read the Old Testament, you're going to hear about the Asherah poles. The Asherah poles? Yeah, there were these wooden poles. And people believed that if you couldn't have a baby, you prayed to these poles, the god of fertility, and you would become pregnant. And then science came along. They learned about science and realized how it works. They realized it's just a piece of wood. It's not alive. It's not real. And that's why I actually love science. We should never be afraid of science, because a lot of times science will always confirm what the scriptures say. It confirms God and the existence of God, and it starts to eliminate some of the things that are out there. Because if you're looking for the one, there's a lot of people out there you could choose from. And so you have to say, how do I find the one? There was another god you read in the New Testament, Baal. And there's a story where one of the people of faith found a lot of courage to say, we're gonna do a challenge here. I know your God's not real. I know mine is. So we're gonna do a challenge. You're gonna build an altar, and I'm gonna build an altar. And we're gonna spend all day, and we're gonna see if we're gonna call fire down from heaven, and whoever's altar burns up, we'll know that's the real God. And so you can hear about it in history. It's in the Old Testament. And the 450 prophets who thought Baal's the one. And they're doing all these things. And I would not have the courage to do this. And, it was Elijah starts making fun of them. He's like, keep on talking louder. And then he says, maybe he's going to the bathroom. Maybe that's why he can't answer you. He's going to the bathroom. It's in the Bible. That's why I like the Bible. It's real. It's real life stuff. If you ever have a coworker, I'm going to the bathroom, 30 minutes later, you're like, come on, you're on Facebook in there. I got work to do. I'm on the shift all by myself. I know you're on the internet. But either way, he could have said that. He's like, he's probably on Facebook. Baal's on Facebook. He's on Twitter. He's on whatever. And then, if you know the Bible, you'll find that he calls down fire from heaven. But before he does, just to make sure they know it's not a trick, he has them pour water all over the altar. So it's soaking wet. It fills this puddle, a moat around it. He calls down fire. Why? Because God's alive. And he's living. And he's active. And he's real. Jesus is different. And as you have your search to find the one, what you'll find is every other founder has died. But Jesus is different. He rose from the dead. There's an empty grave. There's an empty tomb. And that's what sets him apart. He said, I think he's the one. I believe he's the one. But it doesn't stop there. So we know if we found the one, they have to be alive, but AI might, people are going to have to try this. But secondly, they have to be active. They have to be interested. I just want somebody who's alive. That's nice. He's alive. He's on the couch. I'm by myself again. No, they have to be interested in your life. And Peter says this, and to the people he was writing to in 1 Peter 1, he says, in all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief and all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. He says this is really cool because it applies to us. He says, though you have not seen him, you love him. We don't get to see him. I mean, Peter, the apostles, Jesus appeared to over 500 people. And he appeared to Apostle Paul. He's been appearing to a lot of people. But maybe if it's like you or me, I haven't seen him. Most people don't get to see him. And he says, though you don't see him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe him. And are filled with inexpressible and glorious joy. Why are people who haven't seen Jesus filled with inexpressible and glorious joy? It's because when Jesus Christ ascended into heaven, he sent down his Holy Spirit to come down and dwell in every believer. The scriptures in some places calls it the Spirit of Jesus. God lives within us. That's why although we don't see him, when you place your faith in Jesus, you know from firsthand experience, God has come into my life. He's changed me. He's active. He's actually living inside of me, and he's guiding me. Did you hear us coming? Did you hear us coming? Recently, Kate came home and she was sharing a story how she was in the podcast studio working. And while she was in there working, she felt God say, you need to go out in the hallway. Just get up, go out in the hallway, just talk to some people. So she gets out, she opens the door, and there's people right there at the door. They said, "Did you hear us coming?" She said, "No." These people had come to Hope Rising that day. They felt called by God to come here and to pray, and God was guiding them to give a donation to Hope Rising that really made a huge impact and was greatly needed that day. And they left and said, "Well, let's walk down here and let's go find Kate." And as she opens up the door, there they are. God is active in our lives. And when you're a person of faith, things like this happen over and over and over again. That's why we're ruined for the ordinary. It's like, I can't go back to an ordinary life. It doesn't matter. I'm filled with inexpressible and glorious joy. Even though life is tough and this is happening and my sciatic nerve and whatever else you're going through, God has showed up and been in our lives. It's like, there's nothing else I can go back to. I'm ruined. And you found the one when not only they're active, but they're interested in your life and they're active. And God doesn't just stop there. Jesus has been interested in your life since the beginning. I love that we got a little infant back there. I see you guys. I was so happy. We'll take them home? No. They're taking them home. You can't take anyone else's kids home if you think they're really cute. I don't even know what Amy said. I filled in the blanks. It's his name, Mateo. Beautiful name. Look at what it says in Psalm 139. "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." From the beginning, Jesus was interested in you. And he was knitting you together. They say, "I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, woven together in the depths of the earth. You saw my unformed body, and all the days for me were written in your book before any of them ever claimed to be." God was interested in you since the beginning. And he looked and he said, "I need someone that's going to work for FedEx one day and impact a whole bunch of people. And I need someone who's going to hear from me. I'm going to send encouraging words to people, and they're going to know I'm real." God knew we needed someone that was going to be working at Spectrum. He was going to tell fun dad jokes. People were frustrated that Spectrum had him on hold for so long. I still got this joke. Every person in this room, God was interested in you. God knew, hey, we need a future guitar player at Wonder one day. I'm gonna make him in such a way, make a musical. Every person in this room, God knew this earth needed you. And he made you and knit you in a certain way. He's been interested in us since the beginning. So now I have another question, because I said there's other people out there. Has anyone ever appeared to those founders? Did God or something appear to those founders? I always want to know the origins. Like, has an angel ever appeared to a founder other than Christianity and Jesus? And the answer is, yeah. Angels have appeared. Joseph Smith was claimed that the angel Moroni appeared to him. And the angel Moroni showed him where these golden tablets were. And when he had these golden tablets, he used those tablets to write the Book of Mormon, which is now the Church of Latter-day Saints. And then he claimed that the angel took back the golden tablets. And now they just have the Book of Mormon. And there were some witnesses that said, yeah, we saw this. So what do you do with that? When you're looking for the one, you say, what do you do with it? What do you guys think? I don't have an answer. I'm just kidding. This is not new. This is not new. Galatians 1. Paul says this, I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Jesus Christ and are turning to a different gospel, which is really no gospel at all. Evidently, some people are throwing you into confusion. They're trying to pervert the gospel of Christ. But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one preached to you, let them be under God's curse. Why would an angel try to confuse people? Why would an angel try to pervert the gospel? We sang about angels today. Why would they even do this? Well, in 1 Corinthians it says this. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. Satan's an angel. And they come to deceive us. They come to deceive people. I'm convinced there are people who do see angels. They're not the ones that are from God. They're the ones that are part of the prince of the angel of the air, Satan. And we all know that Satan, Scripture says, is a liar. And he's there to deceive people. Turn them away from the one they were meant to know. To turn them away from the one that their souls would long to live for and find. The one who knit them in their womb. So I do believe angels can appear to people. But the Bible tells us, and Jesus tells us, that he marches around like an angel of light. But Jesus knew all this. That's why he said these words in John 14:6. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. This is why Jesus once again stands alone. He stands to be different. He made this claim. But you know, other boyfriends that might be interested in you gotta face this. In fact, I just remember when Kate and I were first dating, there was this guy who had his eye on Kate. Probably still a lot of guys that have their eyes on Kate. So I'm always saying, I'm looking under every corner. Nah, I'm too old. You know, every husband does this, don't they? You're like, hey, honey, you go, but why? You know, it's like, trust me, I know these things. Thanks, Mike. And this guy was saying some lies about me, that he actually saw me with some other girl. And I was really aggravated. But being the genius that I am, okay, what day? What time? And he said a date. I have a witness. I was not in Buffalo. I was at a pharmacy continuing education class with my friend Matt Joseph. Impossible, Your Honor. It's a lie. And Kate believed me anyway. But the point is that there are other people that are going to try to pull you away, right? Because they like you. So what are other people going to say about this? Other religions will say, well, we believe Jesus was a prophet. And prophets do tell the truth. But Jesus here, he was just actually saying that he was guiding people to God. But he wasn't God himself. Because you have to have an explanation. But we know what Jesus did. Not only did he claim to be God, but he did miracles in people's lives. And so people are left with, yeah, I still think Jesus is the one. This is what we all have to choose. We have to look at when these other voices and boyfriends might want to pull us away. We have to do our research. You get one life. We're giving ourselves to one thing. Don't just follow blindly. Look into it. Understand it. So you know that you found the one when they're alive and they're active in your life. The second thing you look for is their character, right? You know you found the one based upon who they are. So we would encourage our church and everyone listening, look at the different beliefs. What did Jesus believe? And then someday explore, what did Joseph Smith believe? And go down the line and do some exploration. And you will find what they believed was very different. But also what they believed was something similar too. Some of the things you're going to find is that there's a lot of common things, like about maybe doing good, being kind. Of course you're going to have things like that. Because if angels came down that were trying to pull us away from God, they can't just come out and be like, that sounds terrible. Who would ever want to follow that guy? There's going to be stuff sprinkled in there. It's going to be good. It's going to be common. It's going to sound the same. Yeah, it kind of sounds like they're all saying the same thing. But when you do your research, just like you would when you're trying to find the one, just base it off of a hairstyle. You base it off of, you ask questions. What do you believe? I want to know. And you'll find that amongst all of the other religions out there, they all have something in common. Things you have to do to earn your way with God. That if you do just enough of these things, you can have a relationship with God. And Jesus was very clear. God came down to us, and he was the one who allows us to have a relationship with him. Because no matter how good that we try, no matter how smart we think we are, we fall short. Just like we know in relationships, we fall short. I wasn't going to yell. I yelled. I'm going into the next holiday. Messed up again. We keep on falling, even though we're trying. And that's why the grace of God is so incredible. That's what makes Christianity so different. And that's why we don't have this fear. We obviously fear God. No one's actually seen God and actually lived. So there's this healthy fear, but there's not this fear of condemnation, because the scriptures tell us there's no condemnation for those who are in Jesus Christ. So look at his beliefs. The second thing is you have to look at their lifestyle. Because we all know this. Any guy in the first 3 months can say anything. Yeah, I want to be there for you, always be in every phase, and then 3 months later, what happened? They tell people, there's all different recommendations. Date someone for a year, you can see them through all their seasons, there's all kinds of things, and I get it. Some people have met 2 months, married 30 years, and it's beautiful. But you need some time. So you look at their lifestyles. And I want to encourage you, look at Jesus' lifestyle. Look at the lifestyle of some of the other boyfriends. Look at their views on how to treat women, how they treat marriage, how they treat life, how they treat people who don't agree with them, how they treat people who are straight, how they treat people who are gay. Look at all of the lifestyles, and you will find again, Jesus is different than all the rest. So if you're looking for the one, they got to be interested in your life. I won't even say alive again. We kind of got that one, right? AI. We've bashed AI enough. They got to be alive. They got to be interested. They got to have some good character. You got to look at their lifestyle. You got to ask their beliefs. But the last one is a big one. I think it's a big one for parents when kids bring home somebody. You know, they're going to say, I'm not worried about how much money they make. The father secretly, hey, let me see your W-2 forms. You know, I'm just taking care of my daughter here. I want to see this. You know, how much hair do they have? I mean, all whatever. Are they a Bills fan? I mean, whatever the interview process is. But all that is over here. Because parents want to know, hey, do you feel loved by them? Do they love you? Because if they love you, I'll be so happy if they love you. That you feel loved and protected. And here's where Jesus also stands alone. Because it says in 1 Peter, he reminds them, he says, for you know it was not with perishable things, such as silver or gold, that you were redeemed from the empty way of life handed down to you from your ancestors, but with the precious blood of Christ, a lamb without blemish or defect. For he was chosen before the creation of the world, but it was revealed in the last times for your sake. Through him you believe in God, who raised him from the dead, and so your faith and your hope are in God. If you study the different boyfriends, you're going to find that some of them took lives. But only Jesus gave his life for you. Jesus was the only one who gave his life for humanity so we could find our way from God. Jesus is distinctly different from all the rest. And so it doesn't surprise us when you find the one, it's normal that you want to tell everyone about the one. And Peter says these words in the end of his letter. He says, but in your hearts revere Christ as Lord, and always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Every person is looking for love. Every person is looking for that one who will be interested in them, who will love them unconditionally, who has good character. And I'm here to say, Jesus is the one you've been looking for your whole life. And he is the one who will never let you down. And you can always, when you place your hope in him, he will not fail. And you can place your future in him, and your future will be secure. You can count on him, and you can have confidence. He is the one we've been searching for our whole lives. I'm going to have everyone stand. If you're a person who's looking to find hope, the starting point of that hope, the source, needs to be the relationship you were long to have with Jesus. That's the starting point. I love the Buffalo Bills. It's entertainment. I'm so excited there's a game. And you know what? Every week you got this little hope. Like, all right, work's tough this week. I know Sunday's coming. There's a game I get to watch. And I'm convinced this year we're going to win the Super Bowl. But here's what's scary. See, once we've attained it, when I don't hope in it anymore. Because you got it. Because hope is rooted in the future. Hope is not in what you have. Because maybe you've put your hope in, one day if there's this car I've been always wanting to get. And then you finally get that car. And then you're sitting in it. And life is tough. And you're like, yeah, it ain't cutting it. Because hope is in the future. It's rooted in something we haven't attained yet. And if you put your hope in anything else, it's temporary. But only Jesus will be forever. In fact, it's eternity. So that even in eternity, we're always hoping. It's always something on the horizon. There's always something, because even the universe, they said, scientifically, they said, it keeps on expanding. We don't understand it. Well, of course, it's ever expanding, because Jesus is from here to the west, east, the past, forever. He's eternal. It's always going to be expanding. And that's why the scriptures say these three things remain: faith, love, and hope. So if you're here today and you've never placed your faith in Jesus Christ, you've never said, Jesus, you're the one, and I'm going to give my life and I'm going to follow you. Right now, say this prayer to him. Make this commitment as you'd make a commitment to someone in a marriage. Jesus, I believe you're the one, and right now I give you my life. Jesus, I recognize ever since looking back, was a kid, you were always coming for me. You were always finding me. And I could see little moments and glimpses of where you were reaching out to me. Jesus, right now, I've turned my way from you. I want to give my life to you and follow you right now forever. Jesus, I give you my life. Lord, forgive me of my past, of the times I've let you down. I've chosen less than love. I've chosen not the ways of your life that bring life. I've chosen the ways that were dark, that were perverted. And right now, Jesus, I receive your forgiveness. I receive your unconditional love. And Jesus, right now, I give you my life. God, I pray for everyone listening to the sound of my voice. May you continue to remind us that you are the source of our hope. That no matter what trials we go through, we have a hope that will never fade, that will never disappoint. We have something always on the horizon to look forward to. You will never let us down, God. And so that is the source where we go to first. God, thank you for being someone who loves us.